What is up, everybody, and welcome to a Yelling from the Bench and Too Much Pod Tar collaboration, Best Baseball Video Games. The span of the baseball video game is over 60 years, starting as early as 1961 with Baseball Vic, the baseball demonstrator, where you and a computer picked teams from a database, and the computer would run the numbers and would print out the results of the game. And now, of course, here in 2020, we have games like MLB The Show, where it's so realistic to where now, in the certain situation that we're in, teams are actually broadcasting simulations of MLB The Show as real games, as we don't have real games right now. Now, there have been plenty of good games, and there's been plenty of not so many good games. But here, we're just going to give you the best. Here are some of the best baseball video games of all time. Wii Baseball. Now, it doesn't have any Major League Baseball teams or players, but it's still one of the most talked about video games in baseball history. Using the controller as a baseball bat was something that we never saw in home consoles. And with that, and the other games in the Wii Sports, made the Nintendo Wii one of the most popular consoles of all time. Our next one comes from Scarecrow writer Schneider.
For my money and my entertainment value, Baseball Stars, the original Nintendo. This was like the Tecmo Bowl of baseball, and the graphics aren't even good. But people were like, "Oh my God, the graphics are great," and it had that, that silly 8-bit music, and there weren't even real teams. You were playing against like the Ghastly Ghouls, the Lovely Ladies, the American Dreams, the Ninja Black Sox. I played this, no joke, 3 weeks ago. That's how much I still love this game.
RBI Baseball. Now, there were plenty of games before, and there's been plenty after. But RBI Baseball is really said to be one of the catalysts for great baseball video games. For the time, it had incredible graphics, and of course, it was one of the first to use real Major League Baseball players, as it got an MLB PA license, something that had not really been seen in baseball video games before. Backyard Baseball. Now, that was a game that was more concentrated for a younger demographic, but there's no doubt that everybody from kids to parents loved to play this game. It had the factor of kids playing, and you could choose your own team, which was great unless you didn't get Pablo Sanchez, who's one of the greatest fictional video game baseball players of all time. And it was awesome because you had the power-ups like aluminum bats that made the game fun. And as time went along, they obviously put in real Major League Baseball players in kid form that everybody loved. And even 20 years later, after its first installment, it's something that's still talked about. Next up, we have MLB Slugfest. And to talk about that, we have Scarecrow writer Dunne.
My favorite baseball video game has to be Slugfest. I really enjoyed those arcade-style games, much like NBA Jam and NFL Blitz. So MLB Slugfest is just a purely chaotic video game where there are no rules. So I really enjoyed that. And in today's day and age, I suck at video games. So any arcade-style game like that has my vote. So MLB Slugfest.
MVP Baseball 2005. Now, even 15 years after this game was made, it's still considered one of the best of all time. It's really one of the first games that really had the gameplay so realistic. The graphics really were smooth. This is one of the first games where we really feel like the gameplay that we see out on the field is what we're getting in that game. And of course, this is where we've got the legendary San Francisco Giant hitter, John Dowd. Next up is scorecard writer Joey Ricotta.
Favorite baseball game of all time. Well, a lot of you know that I'm a Cubs fan, so it's kind of a given that it's Sammy Sosa High Heat Baseball, 2001 for PS1. Everything about the game, from the intro with Sammy jacking out a bunch of bombs and Pedro Martinez and Roger Clemens throwing gas, to how when you really get a hold of a ball in game, that there's the flame coming from the ball and it leaves like that trail of smoke. I always thought that was a really cool aspect of the game. It's not the most difficult game to play, or pretty easy gameplay settings and stuff like that. So
those are just a few of some of the best baseball video games of all time. Now, did we mention one that you liked, or did one of the ones that we mentioned you didn't like? Let us know in the comments below.